breaking news.
This morning, one person is in the hospital after a shooting. Officers were called here to 31st and Parker just after 11 o'clock last night. We are told the victim's injuries are considered serious. Omaha police tell us a woman ran inside a home after being shot. OPD says they are still trying to locate the suspect.
Also breaking, a person in the hospital after this early morning crash. Officers called to 9th and Pierce just before 4 a.m. We're told the victim's injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. We'll be sure to bring you any updates, though, about both of these breaking stories throughout the day.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on First Alert 6 streaming this Wednesday morning. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Erin Hartley, joined by meteorologist Jarrett Lansford and the senior chief meteorologist Rusty Lord. You have to do a bow now, too, I guess. There you go. All right, Jarrett started it. All right, so in the morning time forecast, it's going to be a little bit chilly. Grab the jacket, but warming up to decent temperatures for the beginning of November.
The big key is that the wind that's out there this morning will get better as the day goes along. So that's great news. So it'll feel a lot better this afternoon, but it looks pretty good out there at the moment with a beautiful sunrise to start off the day. We're at 43, but notice the feels like temperature down to 36. You got this wind that's just enough to have a bite to it. 14 miles per hour sustained, and it's trying to gust a little higher. So that takes our temperatures that are in the 40s and drives them down into the 30s for our wind chills. And that's pretty much the story everywhere. You have widespread 40s on the map, but when you factor in the breeze, which is gusting at times up to 25 miles per hour, you can see a couple of those gusts registering. That does drive the wind chill down in the 30s in most locations. So you have a brisk morning out there, and the wind's going to be a story over the next several days. Not incredibly strong or damaging, but just a different direction and just enough to be noticeable every single day. Today, it is out of the north and trying to cool us off, but it's just a morning thing. By the afternoon, the wind is going to back off quite a bit. So you head towards noon, you're looking at temperatures in the 50s into the afternoon, about 58 by 3 o'clock. But by then, the wind gusts 5 to 10 miles per hour, so a lot better there. And those gusts will keep backing off into the evening and overnight hours. So by 5 o'clock, some high clouds and low 50s. Overnight, we fall off through the 40s. Heading into the early morning hours tomorrow, which we should dip down in the 30s tonight. I think by about 3, 4 o'clock, we fall off before the clouds start to fill back up, and that'll cause our temperature to rise a little bit by sunrise on Thursday. So then we'll go to 64. So today it's a north wind up to 30 miles per hour. Tomorrow it's a south wind up to 30 miles per hour. Then Friday, it's a northwest wind up to 30 miles per hour. Every day a little different direction. About the same gust speed, but it'll be different every day. So that'll be noticeable changes, and then that probably persists into the weekend too.
Yeah, sounds like we're going to get winds from the North Pole this weekend.
A little bit, a little bit. It's going to be cold. Coldest air of the season set to work its way in. That's why we have First Alert 6 weather days, Saturday and Sunday. Now the Saturday high of 50, you're thinking, it's not bad. That's about lunchtime. And then it falls off with the wind howling into the afternoon, driving the colder air. And yes, you do see a little rain changing to some melting snow potential Saturday afternoon into the evening. The bulk of that's probably going to be to our northeast, but some of us could get the first flakes of the season. Pretty low impact from that, but because that is what's driving in the cold air, and there could be some snowflakes falling. We made Saturday and Sunday First Alert days because the first hard freeze in the 20s is likely Sunday morning, and northwest winds will send that cold air our way. Yeah, we haven't been any colder than about 30, 31 degrees in the metro for most of us. Again, it varies a lot. You can have a little smaller areas that cool down a little more, but this will be widespread 20s for everybody Sunday morning and again Monday morning, and that means a hard freeze. Garden hoses, above ground water lines. If you haven't had the sprinkler system blown out yet, underground lines should be fine. That's the case for all underground water lines. It's the above ground water that could freeze up pretty easily heading into both of those mornings. If you're worried about snowfall, don't be. There's potential for a little bit of that, but notice by 6, 7 o'clock Saturday, the bulk of that's going to be to the north. If you're heading towards Sioux Falls Saturday, you might have some dicier roads over towards Des Moines and north as well, but we just get in this lighter shade of blue. Lowest end of the scale here. Put some numbers to it, you'll be lucky to get 1/10 of an inch probably. It's just not going to do much. It's not going to add up. A lot of it will melt, and it may just be some snowflakes floating around in the air, but the first of those possible Saturday and into Sunday. Or I should say Saturday night, then into Sunday, the coldest day of the week, 39 for the high, But notice by the end of the 10-day forecast, back up to near 70 degrees. So this is about a 48-hour window with a short little cold burst. So I think we're going to be okay, but just first little shock to the system. I know,
it's going to be a shock.
At least in my house, we'll probably be putting up Christmas decorations.
That's so jolly.
I know. I just got to do a lot of lifting. But at least it'll put you in the season.
Festive.
A little festive.
That's what I was going to say, is that now it's not going to be 90 degrees outside.
Yeah.
You'll feel like a little bit like it's Christmas.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, let's get an update on the roads this morning. A couple of slow spots to warn you about.
Yeah, I want to first alert you to some of those areas that are running slow, and that includes I-80. We do have a little part where things are not quite up to speed. Now, the good news is I haven't seen any kind of word of any kind of crashes or anything along those lines in the metro here with these delays I'm talking about, but you will want to watch westbound I-80 as you're approaching 60th. You can see that it's showing up in that yellow color, so just a little bit sluggish as you're going through that stretch back toward 42nd. Speaking of 42nd, pretty slow there as you're getting your F. So watch that area as one that is having some delays. And then I've been watching the JFK where we did have some pretty sizable delays earlier as you're getting to the ramp to go to westbound I-80. That ramp itself is still a little slow, but in the lead up, it has improved quite a bit here over the last 10, 15 minutes. So good news there. Well, further down the interstate, down JFK, we were also looking at some delays that were showing up as you were approaching Q down toward Chandler. Those have also gone away. Now, again, don't be surprised if those start to get back into play as we go through the next 20 minutes or so, because a lot of times we kind of get a couple of different waves of traffic on the JFK as we make our way through the morning drive. So that could happen this morning, but it's definitely moving better than what we were seeing yesterday during the commute when we had a few issues on the JFK. A little bit slow on 370 a couple spots though. That includes as you get right around 84th, sometimes known as Washington, you've got some delays in both directions. And then as you get right around 48th, we also have a little slowdown as you're going westbound that's in place. Most of the metro moving along in pretty good shape at this point. I will be watching to see if sun glare becomes an issue because we do have that sun pretty prominently in place. Sometimes this time of year we get eastbound travel that gets impacted with that being the culprit of it. So we'll watch for that. That sun's certainly pretty bright out there, but right now, not too bad.
All right, Jared, thank you. Well, we do begin now with your Decision 2025 coverage with the race for mayor in Council Bluffs. Incumbent Mayor Matt Walsh facing a challenger. Jill Shudock leads by slightly more than 100 votes over Walsh. Walsh has served as mayor of Council Bluffs since 2013. Keep in mind, these are unofficial results.
In the CB City Council race, the top two of the four candidates win. It appears those two will be, at the moment, Steve Gorman and Cole Button, who took in 28 and 27% of that vote, respectively.
The Council Bluffs Community School District appears to have advanced a plan seeking to renew a tax plan. Results show 79% of voters said yes to the education fund.
As the City Council race in Carter Lake, much like the Council Bluffs race, the top two in this race do win. Incumbent Victor Skinner still has that narrow lead by just 6 votes over Matthew Seminara. Incumbent Jacqueline Wall is just 1 vote behind Seminara. You might remember Wall survived an effort to remove her from office just last year. Happening today, it is the last day for Omaha's citywide food drive.
Yeah, officials say they've received more than 8,700 pounds of food, all to benefit the food bank for the Heartland. The donations come at a critical time as many struggle to put food on the table amid the government shutdown. The food bank anticipates that final figure will grow.
Participated here at Camelot with my pickleball friends as well, and I brought in some canned corn, peanut butter, things that are shelf stable that they can stretch a little ways, but I do it because my father did it, and so we continue to do it.
A list of locations to donate can be found on our website, firstalert6.com. Mayor John Ewing says there are plans for another citywide food drive. Here with Maria Kate at the safety desk this morning. It's not an easy conversation for men to have, but talking about prostate problems is a huge deal. And Maria's here with some advice from the experts and some signs to look out for.
Yeah, it's always important to just have the conversation in the first place. So doctors say some symptoms to look out for are urinary frequency, urgency, or difficulty going to the bathroom. And those can all signal a medical condition. So experts say a delayed diagnosis can lead to unnecessary suffering. One condition experts say to look out for is an enlarged prostate. They say 50% of men around age 50 actually have it. One urologist says there are several different prostate procedures, but for him, he most often recommends one called HOLEP.
Once the patient is under anesthesia and is completely asleep, I put a little small camera through the urethra into the prostate, and then I use a laser to essentially remove those enlarged sections of the prostate. It really allows for massive amounts of urinary improvement.
Now, experts encourage men to discuss any urinary problems, again, with their doctor, because there are some other conditions that could potentially be causing those. So when you have the conversation, then hopefully that'll lead to figuring out what's wrong.
So important. All right, now to a huge recall this morning.
Oh, yeah. Toyota is recalling over 1 million vehicles here in the U.S. The company says that this recall is because of a flaw that is causing the rear view camera to not work. So the U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says this could boost the risk of a crash. They say a software error could cause the camera image to freeze or go blank. So this recall covers certain 2022 through 2026 Toyota and Lexus models. It also covers Subaru Solterra vehicles. So if you are affected, dealers, they'll update that parking assist software free of charge. Just got to take it in to get it handled.
It's going to impact a lot of people.
Yes.
All right, Maria, thank you. And we'll be right back.
All right, welcome back to MS 7:15 on this Wednesday morning. Let's talk about some of the nice days we have ahead before what's going to be a very cold weekend.
I love that idea. We got 50s today, a little cooler than yesterday, but 60s are back by the end of the week. So the weather headlines start off with a couple of notes here with a beautiful sunrise. A little cooler and breezy today, but still ending up above average. Mild and breezy into the weekend. So Thursday and Friday look pretty good, but over the weekend we get our first hard freeze. Saturday afternoon and evening could get a little rain snow combo and some wind driving in some colder air. A little wind out there right now, gusts up near 25 miles per hour, just enough to be pesky, and they are causing our wind chills to dip down into the 30s. So that air is creating a bite to it, and it's not going to warm up quite as much as it did yesterday. 58 for the high. Then tonight, as you're heading down to the game, Creighton opener, around 47, 48 by tip, and towards the end of the game, we're closer to 40 degrees. Should fall into the 30s for air temperatures by early tomorrow morning, and then start our climb from there. But the wind is going to be an issue, or I shouldn't say issue, noticeable over the next several days. You got gusts up to 25 this morning, but by the afternoon, they're gone. So it'll relax. They're out of the north. Then tomorrow, you can see how the arrows switch. We're out of the south by in the morning hours, 20 to 25, maybe a few gusts to 30 into the afternoon. Those relax into the evening. Then it switches again out of the northwest on Friday, gusting 25 to 30 miles per hour. So pesky, adds a little chill. Then they kind of wander around a little bit. By Saturday, we're out of the northwest. There's the stronger gusts that are going to start to drive in the colder air. And you can see that here with gusts up near 30, 35 miles per hour. And then those likely persist into Sunday. So first alert weather day, Saturday and Sunday with the colder air rushing in. This is an early high of 50, probably around lunch on Saturday. First hard freeze in the 20s by early Sunday morning. We do it again Sunday night into Monday morning. Some of those wind gusts Saturday night, driving that in. If you're worried about snow, I mentioned it earlier, don't be. It's just the latest map showing where we could get some light dusting in some places that actually melts off pretty quickly because the ground's pretty warm. And then the wind should dry it off pretty quickly too, so I don't worry about any refreeze all that much. Bigger issues in our far northeastern counties and just outside of our viewing area. So probably just enough to startle you if you're going to have a little bit of snowflake activity moving through if you weren't paying attention to the forecast. But you can see how that tries to move on through over the course of Saturday evening. Probably not a big deal, even though it looks a little more ominous than it actually is.
All right, so we cool down for the weekend. Any sign of a warm up, maybe more 60s or even 70s again?
It's looking really, really good next week. Once we get rid of the cold early on in the week, look at the numbers. They climb up to near 70 by Friday. The very end of the 10-day trying to get there, and warmer than average, still winning out middle of the month. So this is just a little 2-day blip here of issues that we're dealing with this weekend as a surge of colder air moves in, but warmer than average is likely going to win out for most of this next 2 weeks.
Glad to hear that, Russ.
Me too. Okay, well, let's get an update on traffic. I feel like when we kind of talk about traffic patterns, they go in waves, right? It's like the people who have stuff at 7, 8, maybe 9 o'clock. So has this new wave hit the JFK at this point?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
So last time we checked in, it was green, that whole stretch on the JFK, and you notice now we've got yellows, oranges. So we're starting to slow down again as you're making your way pretty much from about Chandler, Childs, all the way northbound to I-80, and it is a little bit touch and go as far as how slow it gets in that area. I can give you an idea here of some of these speeds here as you're going northbound, roughly about 20 to 30 miles per hour along that stretch. So watch for that to be an area where you get some delays taking place. I've also noticed though we've getting some delays on Center. This is pretty close to where we have some new construction, 51st to 42nd. Over the next 3 weeks, you'll encounter some varying lane restrictions. And you see here on the west side of this where we're getting things struggling right around that intersection with Saddle Creek. So that's on the west side of that construction. Watch for delays that could be showing up in that area. Zooming things out, starting to get our first signs of some slowdowns on Dodge eastbound, typical of this time in the morning. And we'll see how much that flares up as well as eastbound Saddle, Highway 370, I should say, with the sun glare potentially playing a role for those roads and I-80 as well. A lot of times when we get into this point in the commute. Mostly though, we're seeing some fairly smooth travel at this point. We do have crashes in Blair and on I-80 westbound near Neola that aren't impacting traffic greatly, but you do want to watch for those if you're traveling in those areas, particularly that one in Blair. It's on Highway 30. I know a lot of people use that road.
Yeah, Jared. All right. Thank you so much. We do have more Decision 2025 coverage now. The city of Valley will have a new mayor and city council president. 61% of voters supported recalling Mayor Cindy Grove.
The same for city council president John Batcher. 59% of voters said yes to recall him. Get ready to get lost. One Gourmet is getting national attention for its challenging design and fun theme.
Now find out why people are spending hours trying to conquer this amazing attraction when First Alert 6 returns.
A Connecticut core maze is getting some big buzz on social media. Some people are spending 3 hours inside, some even coming back to complete later.
Wow.
A challenge over a couple of days.
Okay, so this is a maze in Preston, Connecticut.
Whoa.
And that's a big thing,
Whoa.
right? So this year's theme is Get Lost in the
Yeah.
entertainment.
Oh my gosh.
You can see, if you look, you can see TV, music notes, a slate board. So the goal isn't just to get in and get out of this maze. Hidden among the stalks are different stamping stations. There's 16 of those, and you have to collect them all if you want to win a prize. And if you can't find them all in your first go round, you can actually come back at no extra charge. This maze has been a tradition in Preston for 26 years. Look, it took us 3 hours, but I can see why, right? I did see the note.
I mean,
Yeah.
it does sound fun if you have the time.
We don't have the time, but yeah, for people who do you guys like corn mazes?
I was going to say, after watching, if you've seen Harry Potter Goblet of Fire, a maze is kind of like a little bit of a worst nightmare for me. Because
At a certain point, don't you get worried? Can I get out of here?
die in them, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking
Spoiler
about.
alert.
Yeah.
I see these really intricate and impressive corn mazes. I always wonder how long it took the farmers to
that's
cut it
true.
all. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
After a while, it kind of gets weaker too. Like to have it still be standing.
Yeah.
If you've seen some corn mazes by November, they're pretty beat up in some places.
That one's so impressive.
That's pretty good.
Well, all right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're going to get ready for our update in the Today Show. You can watch it here and streaming or over our air.
Have a great start to your Wednesday.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Ryan Hartley. Let's get an update on Dodge this morning with Jarrett Lansford.
Things starting to slow down quite a bit as you get around 168th eastbound. And part of this is usual. We often get delays here, but you notice it's a little slower than usual with the amount of vehicles here. And I think there could be a little bit of some sun glare at play here with how bright things are as you're making your way eastbound. So watch for those delays. They're starting to build back toward 180th and could soon impact those around 192nd as well. Also seeing some delays on the JFK northbound from about I-80 back toward Q. Most of the metro is doing it okay at this point. We also have a little slowdown on I-80 eastbound though, right in a classic sun glare spot at 84th. Rusty.
Thanks, Jarrett. Sunshine out there right now, and that's going to be the case the majority of the day. You can see where temperatures will have the opportunity to warm. Just got to get that sun a little higher. 43 right now. It feels like temperature 36. So the air's a little chilly, and you have some wind gusts up near 20, 25 miles per hour in places this morning. So the air is sustained about 10 to 20. Couple of gusts up near 25 still possible. Those will back off into the afternoon and be a much lighter, so that's enjoyable with a high of about 58 today. Not all that bad, still a little bit above average, just not as good as yesterday. And we will warm it up heading towards Thursday, 64, 65 on Friday, potential for that to go up a little bit more as well. And then temperatures do the opposite for the weekend. First Alert 6 weather days Saturday and Sunday, mostly for the cold air that arrives Saturday night into Sunday morning. Aaron?
All right, breaking news. We are following a person in the hospital after a shooting. Officers are called to 31st in Parker just after 11 o'clock last night. We're told the victim's injuries are considered to be serious. Police tell us a woman ran inside after saying she had been shot. OPD says they are still trying to find that suspect.
Well, it is 7:28, and we are back with another update for you in about 25 minutes. We'll see you then.